Okay, thank you. Good morning. Shkoyach Rabbi Lon, Shkoyach Martin. Good morning, everybody.
Good morning, Rabbi.
Okay, so we're going to continue with some of these short questions and answers that we started yesterday from Rabbi Weiss. Yesterday's was about Berkat HaGomel, about benching Gomel. The second is a question which on the face of it seems to be something you should take as read. But actually, Rabbi Weiss has far more to dig into this than one might imagine. The question that was asked to him, and remember the context is, it's towards the beginning of the whole coronavirus pandemic. He's having 1,001 questions fired at him every minute, and he's doing his best to answer them as fully as possible. And the ones we're looking at are a selection of these. So somebody said, is there a mitzvah of bikur cholim, of visiting someone who is ill, for somebody who has to isolate but isn't ill? So on the face of it, you break that question down. You imagine if you were doing this as a kind of an essay question in English back in school. So you might want to break down all of the terms. What exactly is isolation here? And what exactly is visiting someone who's ill? If they're not ill, that they're just in isolation. So Rabbi Weiss says, this question he finds very surprising. She'ela zu tamua be'inai. Rabbinic parlance is saying that I find this a very puzzling question, because if someone is not ill, what mitzvah of bikur cholim is there to visit them? Sure, there are other mitzvot to do towards them, but what mitzvah of bikur cholim? And even more, he says, in the current circumstances, what mitzvah can there possibly be to visit someone when they're in isolation if they are ill? I mean, there's no mitzvah at all. So isolation means isolation.
It would be illegal to visit them.
Sorry, I didn't hear that.
It's illegal to visit them. I don't even know where the question comes from.
Exactly. This is what he's expressing. What mitzvah can there be when the person's ill and it's against the law? Yeah. And he says that in his next paragraph, he says that being in isolation at the time of a pandemic such as this is not simply something which is akin to the dins relating to the mitzvah, but he says it's a din of sakanat nefashot, of threat to life, and our obligations to society. So what he does instead with this question is try and break it down and perhaps get to the heart, having, I think, to clarify those points, just to make sure no one forgets about them, get to the heart of what the questioner is actually asking, which is, how does one perform the mitzvah bikur cholim? Because the paradigm of mitzvah bikur cholim, of course, is with Avraham. When the angels come to visit him, as we read about a few weeks ago, and they came physically to visit him. Now, the Shulchan Aruch notes in Yoredin, in Siman Shin Lamed Daled, Shin Lamed Tet, if I remember exactly, there just before the laws of mourning is the laws of Bikur Cholim, and the Shulchan Aruch notes that Bikur Cholim is best performed by visiting someone in person. Now, of course, one of the reasons for that is in those days there was no Zoom. That's why Shulchan Aruch didn't write about Zoom, right? There was no Zoom, there were no phones, etc. But more than that, what the Gemara teaches us and the Shulchan Aruch relates is the power of people spending time with each other, the power of contact that people have. And that's a very important part of Bikur Cholim where feasible. Where it's not feasible, of course, there are other levels of Bikur Cholim. So Rabbi Weiss uses this as an opportunity to explore some of the other levels of Bikur Cholim. And having said that somebody who will break the rules of isolation is a sinner who endangers their own life and the lives of others, he says, of course, one has to find ways of interacting with other people. And then he brings some other sources to explain what the religious significance of this can be, above and beyond it being an act of chesed. So with that, we'll pause for now. Friday is a working day after all. And all being well, on Sunday, we will look at some of the other things which he mentions about how best to perform the mitzvah bikur cholim. And for those who might remember back to some of the WhatsApp broadcasts we had during the first lockdown, there are some different where we covered similar material from Rabbi Weiss. There are some different points in this answer which I think are particularly pertinent to our situation now as well. In the meantime, have a great day, and Shabbat Shalom.